Hi, everybody. It's your girl, LaShawn R. Shelton, on this inaugural Wednesday. How is everyone doing? So, you may be wondering what it is that I'm talking about today as it relates to resume writing. Well, one of the things that we are doing right now, we are truly having the opportunity to explain to you why resume writing is on, and resume writing, why it's important, and what you need to have on your resume as it relates to that. All right. So I'm just waiting for my special guest to come on. In the interim, I will go over some of the things that you need with ECDC in order to have a very stellar resume. Okay. The difference between a good resume and an I resume can make or break your opportunities for employment. Okay. Now, one thing about resumes, it is your first opportunity to get in the door. Okay. You can have the best experience, but if your resume doesn't speak to it, if your resume doesn't shine, you may not get in the door, or the employer may look at you a little weird and not give you the opportunity that you need. Hey, DJ Showpink, how are you? So, one of the things that I try to tell people, especially our clients, is to make sure that your resume not only reflects who you are, but what you can do for that company. Remember, you are an asset and not a liability. Okay, and we know the difference between the two. A liability is somebody that's going to cost a company a lot of money, right? We don't want that. A liability is somebody who is not going to be a good fit for that company, and they feel like they wasted their time, energy, and money training you for a said position. You want to be an asset. And an asset is when a company cannot get enough of you. You have salt and seasoned yourself and positioned yourself in such a way that the company feels that without you, it is going to be quite difficult to replace you. That's where you want to be when it comes to resume writing, and where you want to be when it comes to landing a job successfully. Remember, there are three things you must keep in mind while you are employed. Okay. Number one, you want to always be the brightest recruit in the room. Every day you're recruiting yourself to stay at that job, right? So it goes further than getting recruited because of your resume, but it means that every single day, especially if you live in an at will state, at will meaning that they can get rid of you whenever they want to for any reason at all. You can be terminated because it's Tuesday. You could be terminated because you have on a purple shirt, right? You could be terminated because it's raining outside. It doesn't matter. The point of the matter is, if you live in an at will state, you want to make sure you are recruiting yourself every single day to maintain employment, right? Number two, you want to retain that job. You want to make sure that no matter what happens, if there are layoffs, if they're cutting people because of the budget, whatever, you don't want to be part of that first one hired, last one hired, first one fired regime. There has been so many times that I have been in positions where I may have been the last one hired, but because of my work ethic, they said we can't get rid of this one because she's needed. She is an asset to our team. That's where you want to be at all times, no matter what. Okay. And the last one is reclaiming your job. If for whatever reason you had to get laid off because of budget cuts, because um, of the coronavirus, anything, you want to be the first one that they call on that list in order for you to get that job back. Okay. And then sometimes a job may say, well, we have to shut down operations for a little bit. And you want to be on that list of people that they bring back because they trust you and they feel that what you have to offer rocks. Okay. So, what is ECDC? We are the East Side Career Development Center. And ECDC prides itself in making sure that those who are unemployable and that live on the east side of Wilmington and or other areas in the world, we have expanded our operations to be global. And that is thanks to Dr. Amasik Y. Harris Church. She has definitely put us on the map where we have people in Israel who are looking to work with us. So, guys, it is so imperative. It is massively imperative that you do what you need to do in order to do what you need to do. Okay. So, I want to share one of our partners who literally just came on board, and we are so excited about him and his company being here. He has an opportunity to share with you the importance of resume writing as I ask him a few questions about what his company Revolve, what they look for when they are hiring and or training people for employment. So Mr. Ron Levine hails from Philadelphia, and he is unfortunately an Eagles fan, guys. You know how that goes with those Philadelphia people, right? But anyway, he currently owns and operates Revolve Staffing and Resources with Mr. Kenneth Hawkins. And what they do, they want to make sure that people who also are deemed unemployable, vocationally unsound, have an opportunity to get employment from places that they have never experienced and or thought that they would get. Okay. Not only does he own this company, but he has a heart for the people. He has at least 17 years working with vocational rehabilitation, working with those who are looking for work. And not only that, training those so that they can stay excited about workforce development and what's needed. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him onto the screen. He is definitely somebody who I highly respect and look up to. So Mr. Ron Hargrove, can you go ahead and share who you are if I missed anything? And
Wow. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm just making sure because I'm just, yeah. Everything's great. Everything's great. Hey, everybody. Everything's great. Everything's wonderful. Oh, let's see. In these introductions, it always cracks me up because I'm a very, very humble person. Uh, and I don't like to, you know, brag or anything like that. And I'm not trying to do that. So I always tell LaShawn, I just talk from the heart. It's not really training or anything like that. It's just, look, people make mistakes. And
Mhm.
the most important thing, and that's why LaShawn was bringing me on tonight, is to make sure that everybody is aware that, I mean, your first ticket is making sure that your resume flows with you. Your name is at the top of the list. So who's the superstar? You. I see a lot of people doing resumes for family members, and as soon as the resume comes back and there's a typo or something, they immediately say, "Oh, it wasn't me." And
Mhm.
I say, "Well, guess what? The name on this list right here that I'm looking at, it represents you." And
Mhm.
so a lot of people get discarded based on simple things like typos. And it drives me crazy. I know it drives employers crazy because the first question they're going to ask is, are you detail oriented? Hello?
Yeah.
Your resume is incorrect, or your resume isn't up to par. Um, Missing out on a lot of things. I tell folks, when someone looks at your resume for the first time, what do you think they're looking at? And it only takes anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds to look at your resume and figure I'm going to keep reading or not. So
Mm.
the most important thing that you can do in terms of your resume is making sure your address, telephone number, all that's correct. Make sure you have two numbers, please, because if you have grandma's number, I ain't trying to be funny, but grandma gonna be there to answer the phone, and if they know who you are, they're gonna answer it, take the message, and keep it, get back to you. Uh, I see so many resumes with one number, and then once that number goes bad, it's like, oh well, it is what it is, and that was a job opportunity.
Mm.
People miss out on certain things, and I often tell this quick story, a quick scenario. If you had the choice of choosing between a cell phone bill and your water bill, which one would you choose? And the majority in the class would say 90% would say, well, I'm gonna pay for my water because I got to use it in order to uh, wash up and take care of my family. And I'm like, yeah, I understand, but what you gonna do about the cell phone? Oh, well, it goes away. Let's just say in that same situation, you can pay it, but it'll be a week ahead. So
Mhm.
the whole time that you're sending off this resume to people, you don't know when they're going to call you. It may be tomorrow. It may be 2 weeks from now. It may be 6 months from now, truthfully. And because of COVID, hey, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
we have a lot of people that assume that, oh, ain't nobody going to call me. And it just so happens that chance has it that within that week that you decide not to pay your cell phone bill,
Mm-mm.
they call and you don't know it. And being on the end of the Department of Labor, because I do work for them also,
Mhm.
employment and training. I call a lot of individuals, and it drives me crazy when they have their resume clearly on file. Employers are looking at their information, and I call representing Department of Labor and employers, and I can't get through.
Oh my
I
gosh.
I can't even get through with a voicemail. That's another thing too. When your voicemail is full, don't think. Look, I know the game. You don't want the pay collectors, calling you up, telling you you owe. It is what it is. You're looking for a job.
Right.
Clear that stuff. Clear your voicemail and get that and get right. Get ready because
Right.
your
But you
blessing is
said
going to come.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said something about voicemails and emails. What are your thoughts when you see emails like wildcherry69 at Yahoo,
Oh my gosh.
or
Thank you. Thank you, LaShawn.
or
Thank
those
you.
voicemails like,
Look,
sounding really erotic, or hey yo, you know who this
uh,
is, call me back when you can, yo. Like what do you
hey,
do when you run against that?
hey, I'm gonna go ethnic. I'm gonna go Philly real quick. Yo, word is born. Yo, don't do
That's New
that.
York. That's New
That ain't
York.
New York. That's Philly too, yo. Don't even start. I get into my Philly accent over here. No, but it's all in love, fun. You see it. People with it. It's great to have your own personal email, and that's what it is. It's your personal email. But when you're going with a resume, you want to set it up for business. So whatever your name is, mine is Ron Hargrove. Ron Hargrove 123 at Yahoo. Been that for the last 15, almost 20 years. Excuse me, I'm putting my age out there, but it is what it is. I feel comfortable with that. That's my business email. Now, if I have anything else, that's between me and that particular crew. But I'm not sending that out via uh, through my resume and showing employers that I have a side life. You
Right.
know, I'm trying to
Right.
get my foot in the door. That's the most important thing. And just remember this: when people are looking at you, they're looking at it from a perspective point of view. They're
Right.
looking at it in terms of your resume, the structure, what you bring to the table. So when you're, and they will check Facebook because
Yes.
I check Facebook.
Yes, they
I,
do. They have a whole
I,
department for that.
so whatever you have, if you got Ron Hargrove or whatever your name is, and you're on Facebook and you're doing some nonsense, don't think they ain't looking.
They
That could
absolutely
be
are.
that could be a decision that's made personally by them, and they have that right. But you don't want no blemishes. You just want to be, you just want to think about things ahead of time. It's okay to have an alternate account. Make sure it's far away from your name as possible. And these are
Yeah.
like common sense things that we see all the time. And it's like, don't they know? And
No,
it's
they
like
don't.
they don't get it.
They don't.
So it's scary, but all I'm saying is through the experience, please just make sure that you have things covered on the back end when it comes to the professionalism, your name. What's more important, feeding your kids, getting that opportunity, getting that interview,
Yeah.
or just being? I mean, you can be yourself. And I don't want to go into a long drawn out situation, but I see it all the time, and I keep asking the same question.
Right.
um so another thing, if you have no experience, and I know COVID is hopping right now, um, it's important that you when this pandemic ends, get involved. Get involved through the church. Get involved through volunteer services. Uh, do whatever you can to get some type of experience to talk about. Don't come into an interview saying, I have no experience. Because guess what? If it's not me and it's somebody else who doesn't care, they will keep it moving and thank you for your time.
Yeah, you have no experience and you have no job.
Right,
so,
right.
so what
And
do you
they'll
think
keep it
about
moving.
people?
Mhm,
What do you think about
mhm.
people who embellish their experience? They say, okay, well, I haven't worked for 35 years because I was a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad, or I may have a felony. Or what do you think about people who are who are coaching people to embellish their resume and put things that aren't so true on it? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, the realness comes in the interview, and all it takes is a couple of questions for somebody to break down someone to say, okay, did you really do this? Because if
Mm,
you don't have your heart into it, if you didn't put your your fingers on it. If you don't have the blood, sweat, and tears to actually justify doing it, you will be challenged,
Mhm.
and it will be false information. They'll
Yeah.
know. So all I'm saying is when you say you don't have experience, what I try and do is let folks know you do. And it's
Mm.
important when you say that you're a mother at home. What does moms do? I mean, what do moms do in terms of
Everything.
organization, paying bills, watching kids? So you're a teacher. I mean, you're not going to put down that you're a teacher, but obviously you have skills that you can be creative with, and you need to justify them. A lot of people are involved in church organizations, and they do this stuff out of the kindness of their heart. And I'm like, you know what? I understand where you're coming from with that, but no, bring it for them because you only get one chance. And what's funny is a lot of the people that I talk to, I'm pulling information out of them. They don't have it on their resume. They tell me about certain events and I say, okay, so you did this. Oh yeah, we used to do this all the time. We used to, go to this camp and help out the kids and contribute. I used to pick up boxes off the truck and basically I was helping out the administrator. I work with the kids. What was the age range? Oh, from like 5 to 12, and we were doing all types of arts and crafts. Really? Why isn't it on your resume? Who's going
Wow.
to ask you these questions? Who is going to ask you these particular questions where I'm finding out your personality, your drive, your character? If I see nothing on your resume, I'll ask, but most people won't.
They won't. They don't have time to. They're seeing like hundreds of people at a time. When do they
Right.
have time to do that? You know?
Here, here's the key process of elimination. What I try and tell folks is it's a numbers game in terms of work. If you send out 10 resumes, guess how many resumes are going to get your foot in the door if it's good? One.
Tell us if that.
10% is if that, if it's good. Okay. So you have to get your resume together, make sure it's accurate, make sure it has your 2 phone numbers on it, your uncle, your sister, grandmom, I don't care. Somebody that knows you and can refer to you. Make
Right.
sure that your first statement, that what is it? The objective statement
Mhm.
specifies what you're looking for. Folks, here's one more thing. You don't have to have one resume only. This is a numbers game. Change the
Mm.
game, folks. You can have as many resumes as possible. You can have a customer service resume because you have more than one endeavor, hopefully, that you want to go into.
Right.
Don't just stick to one. You're trying to get your foot in the door with several. Okay. So have the resumes can be constructed to fit um, whatever lifestyle, whatever theme that you're looking for. If it's a customer service resume, that's base. But if it's something more specific, let's say IT, dive into the IT field, everything that you bring to the table. I'm talking volunteer experience too. Um, uh, I have people at the Department of Labor. I influenced a lot of people to have more than one resume. So I've seen people with 3, sometimes even 4 to 5 resumes, and they could be part-time positions.
Mhm.
You can have a resume for a part-time position. You can have a resume for a full-time position. You can have. I wouldn't recommend people go beyond 10 years uh, because of discrimination, which could be had if you're showing that you have more than 50, 50. Wow, 30 years experience in the field. Yeah, you're boasting about it, but guess what? That manager is looking at you and saying, "Yeah, I only have 2 years experience, and you're intimidating me." You get it? The whole,
Absolutely. And the point
the,
is, and you're also making it where the you don't want to be an intimidating factor.
right,
We definitely want you to be employable. We want you to show up, but you also don't want someone to say, ugh, this person may come in and take my job. So you
right.
want to have an equal balance with that. And that's why I love what you do at Revolve, staffing and resources. You teach people how to have that balance because let's be honest, right? A lot of people lost their jobs because of this coronavirus. A lot of
Hmm.
people became unemployed at a drop of the dime. They may have gotten an award on Tuesday and gone on Wednesday, and in some cases on Tuesday, and now they're looking for a an opportunity. And I had a gentleman in one of my training sessions literally had about 29 years of project management experience, but because of the coronavirus, he got laid off. So now imagine looking for a job and the first job you ever had in your life at the age of 20, coming out of the military from disability, is project management. And now you can't find a job because that's all you've done. You have to diversify it, like Tanya says, diversify it, but don't
Yep.
seem intimidating. So let me ask you a question, because I know I asked one of them with that. How do you tell somebody that their resume is not representing them well? Because again, we know your resume is your entry in the interview. Once you get in the interview, you're not in. You don't have the job yet, but you won't get in that interviewing room unless your resume screams value and volumes of who you are. So what do you do when someone's like, well, I'm not changing my resume. I like the way it looks just like this. What do you say when you're coaching people like that?
Well, the challenge that I always have is sometimes I could be verbally harsh because it's business. But what I try and do in terms of the interviews is see myself. I've been in interviews where someone looked at my resume and said, "This is crap." I mean, they literally told me, and it was embarrassing to me, of course. But I can see the looks on people's faces when they see a typo, or I'm showing them the blemishes in their resume, or I'm showing them that things are not seen, and they just look back and they're like, "How is that not in there?" And then they start reflecting on, "Oh, that was grandma that did this resume for me." And I'm like, "Is this resume up to date?" No, it doesn't have the most recent job opportunity that they have, that they had done for the past 6 months. They're missing that information. So, what do you want me to do? I'm expected to, uh, just write this stuff in as we're talking. I'm not doing that. I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm also saying that you're unprepared in terms of this. But I have to take a step back, and that's why the company that I have is so different, because over the past couple of months, we just got started. Um, I speak with people not in a lecturing manner, but in an empathetic manner, where I'm not looking at you directly and pointing directly at you. I'm turning myself sideways and I'm facing the same direction as you. And we're facing the problem of this particular resume. Let's look at this. And how can we make it better?
Mm-hmm.
And all I want to do is, if I'm not employing them, I want them to get employment somewhere. So they see a genuineness in me to want to give more. You're the superstar, folks. That resume goes out. There's no turning back in terms of that particular resume. Now, you could change it. I recommend you do that as you go on. The more skills that you find out about, keep adding to your resume. It never stops. It's always evolving as you evolve. So don't think, "Oh, I'm finally done my resume." No, you're not. Because are you the same person that you were last week? Maybe. But maybe you learned something big happened today in terms of the inauguration. Hey, hopefully this nation can change for the
Right,
better.
right.
You know.
So what do you say to people? And this is a question that comes to me all the time, and it just happened to have come to me. Hey, Althea, thank you everybody who's watching us and sharing this as well. What do you say when somebody is judged by their name? And it doesn't matter what their ethnicities are. A lot of people are judged by their last name, they're
Mhm.
judged by their first name. What do you say when people are running against issues like that? Do you suggest that they change their name on a resume, or do you just let their experience show who they are and what they can do?
Mm.
Good question. Very good question. Uh, my name is Ron Old, but don't nobody call me that. And even LaShawn, she knows, but she doesn't call me Ronald. Okay, because I
Ever,
don't feel like a Ronald. Okay,
ever.
I didn't. Well, my mom knows this, but just on the funny side, I spell my name Rahn just to stand clear. I'm different. But when you look at my social security card, Yeah, it has Ronald on it, and it is what it is. But I say this, folks. Yeah, there was a time when people would look at resumes and look at particularly names and know who you are. Um, Let it be their loss if you are the diamond in the rough. However, be yourself. That's what I'm meaning to say. Just be yourself. Just put your cards on the table. And like I said, that name at the top is gold when you have the skills necessary to be that spark, that, oh my gosh, where have you been? I mean, there's employers that are looking for those diamonds.
Yep.
And it doesn't even matter in terms of the people. Just be yourself. Don't try and hide, and don't try and add flavor, because it's going to all come out in the wash. Study, know yourself, read your resumes before interviews. Uh, Go over questions that the basic things that people are looking for, the good and the bad and the ugly. Do you really want to talk bad about yourself? You want to say something that's constructive but not negative, like, I can't think of anything right now, but uh, you don't want to talk about yourself in a super harsh way where it's like, whoa, okay, thanks. You were being honest,
Right,
but
right.
that's where you're planning out your moves. You're playing a chess game in terms of interviews, and once you get it down, it becomes easier. But it's always intimidating when you have either well, I don't know if you guys. I guess back in the day, they used to have the chairman of the board meetings uh, with like a whole long table with like 10, 15 people. I think now they do it with just three. With this
Mhm.
COVID situation, they may shut it down even more. Uh, but I remember those interviews quite intimidating with a bunch of people in the room, and it's like, okay, all eyes are on you, and they're writing.
Throwing questions all over the place. What about this? What about
All
you're like,
right, yeah,
ah!
and it's like, okay, and you're in there for an hour and a half. Each person has a question, and it can be intimidating. But no, I'll just say, in terms of the be yourself.
Mhm.
Your name is who you are, and what's important is bringing the best out of yourself. And if you have problems in terms of the objective statement or summary of qualifications, what you bring to the table, take some time out for yourself and go back over maybe previous job titles that you had. Look them up online and see if what's missing. Did you do certain things in terms of computer skills or different tasks? Did you manage? Sometimes people are missing things that are right in front of them. That's what I mean by the evolution side of things. Take some time out for yourself, love yourself, put it down on paper, even if it's scratch paper for now. And then you can just add that in. Somehow I got to get this keyword in there. Management, yes.
Mhm.
These particular skills. Oh, by the way, I got 3 years experience in terms of this. Well, where'd it come from? I just remembered it. Yeah, that's the way it happens sometimes. You're not going to remember
Absolutely.
everything, but just
Absolutely.
make sure when you're ready to put that resume out there that it's ready, it's complete, and it's accurate. Don't lie about yourself. You know,
Right, right. And I tell that to a lot of our clients also. They're like, well, I have a felony. Don't lie about it. Let them
nah.
know up front because they know and don't put on your resume. Do not put that on your resume. But I'm
Mhm.
talking about people who may have been, say, incarcerated for 10, 15 years. And they're like, well, what do I put in that gap? There are work details that you may have done while you was in prison. There may have been
Yes,
work details that you would have done, while you were on work release, whatever it is, you want to be able to coin it where it speaks to your experience, but you don't have to say, janitor at Elmira to penitentiary. You can just say, Elmira, New York, custodial, and then
right.
and then get into it that way. But there's so many ways. The art of the resume writing, the art of the CV, totally gives you opportunity to be creative and truthful when it comes to you updating these resumes. The last thing you want to do is lie on this resume and have people feel and think that you have experience that you do not, and or trap yourself off where now you're answering difficult questions, because most states, thank goodness, they no longer can ask you those questions because
Right.
it was viewed as discriminatory. So now you have an opportunity to get in the door. Get in the door, but get in the right way. So I know you don't have a lot of time left. And again, I appreciate you for the time that you are spending with us right now. And again, we are so excited about ECDC and Revolve working with each other. You know, these are two agencies who totally care about the community. They work with those who are quote unquote unemployable. And I hate using that word, but unfortunately, that's what society will say. We work with people who are quote unquote untrainable, or people who said, you know what, I don't know if I want to take a chance on Johnny because Johnny looks a certain way or is from a certain area. You want to be able to give yourself that glowing chance so that you have opportunities just like everyone else. Hey, Sora Francis, thank you so much for joining us today. And guys, be sure to share this out. This can help out more people than you think it can. We are so important. It's so important that people know this information. So,
Absolutely.
Mr. LaVon, my question to you is: when you created Revolve, and you and Mr. Hawkins got together, Mr. Hawks got together and said, you know what, this is something that's needed for the community. You know, what would you say was your main catalyst behind it? And before you say anything about that, Trefania says, that's like all the years I served as a CNA: negotiation, time management, behavior management, CRM, and advocacy are just a few skills I gained in that one position. There are so many more. So she basically chunked out everything that she did and listed them as skills on
Hmm.
her resume, right?
Yep.
She listed them, even though it came from one place. It doesn't matter. And yes, Sora Francis, Zaitza Girls, we wear pearls. Thank you so much on this Chucks and Pearls day of inauguration. Thank you so much, Sora. So, what do you think when you and Mr. Hawks came up with this idea and you said, you know what, we have to do something for those brothers and sisters who are overlooked? What was the main catalyst behind you creating this company?
Well, what's wild is I met brother Kenneth Hawks um, at the Department of Labor for a couple of functions. Actually, we networked together when he had a previous company, and I was proud of him. He was doing his thing, and eventually, over time, with him being a one man army, he was doing everything pretty much by himself. I think he had another partner too, but I think the difference with me, hold on, excuse me. I think the
Question.
difference with me is I've always, believe it or not, I used to be afraid of talking with people in public.
No.
Yeah, I used to have that phobia, and suddenly I would say, I want to say about 10, 15 years ago, somebody put me in front and say, "Hey, you got to speak," and it's like, okay, what am I going to talk about? If you can't, if you can't do it verbatim, I understand it's like going in front of a mic, comedy club, and trying to make people laugh. That's intimidating. Um, but I had classes where I literally had the whole ball of wax, all different types of people, all ethnicities, um, age groups, all different types. And the one in particular that I was uh, very, very much more concerned about was the individuals that were formerly incarcerated, because we only had like one workshop. And these guys, if you know anything about the Department of Labor, they would have the unemployment insurance benefits requirement, and they would need to come for a class. They would get a letter in the mail, and it would say, okay, you need to show up at this date, this time, blah, blah, blah. And so when they didn't show, their benefits were cut. So they already pissed. And they're coming into my workshop. They're already rah rah, all pushy and everything. And all I wanted to do was just get them in the workshop, sign this list. Okay, you got proof that you're here. So they're pissed. And they come into the workshop and they, just start gravitating to everything that's going on. And next thing you know, they're like, hey, you know what, Mr. Ron, That was a good class, man. That was an awesome class. When's the next class? And I was like, that's it. There's no other class. I mean, well,
Mm,
there were a couple of other classes, but I particularly wanted to dive in deeper with these particular people because they had nothing else.
right.
Everybody else could go, if you don't have a record or anything, hey, I can go ahead and get my resume together. I'm ready to go. Thanks, Mr. Ryan. But these guys was looking for something else because they it's a lot on the plate. I ain't even get into mental health yet. But
Oof.
um
Yeah.
I had a passion for working with these individuals. I got in contact with Brother Ken Hawks. We talked about it, and we started merging together in terms of services. I would do training. He would focus on staffing, and we just had that like mind passion in terms of working with these individuals. And I got deep with it. I turned it almost into a chess game. I wanted to make sure that I focused on not only their base skills, but a skill they never received before. And I don't know if anybody has ever experienced this, but are you in your true position?
Mm.
Are you in your true God given position? Are you lying to yourself? Are you telling yourself, okay, I'm good at customer service and you hate it? I want you
Wow.
to be real with yourself because a lot of people out there have God given abilities that they just didn't know what the position that they needed to dive into. And case in point, me, truthfully, I should have been an engineer, but nobody told me what an engineer was. And when I heard what an engineer was when I was younger, I thought that they drove trains.
Wow. A lot of people thought that. A
That's what I thought.
lot of people thought that.
My ignorant self. Yes. I've never asked what or how is this can created? How is this toy formed? Through plastic or whatever. Somebody is designing that. Somebody is making the prototype for it. And me, just a little background. I love chess. I love math. I love Legos. I love problem solving.
The
You get the
Legos.
point. You get the point. Yeah, you get the. I mean, back in the day, you talk about as a kid, and if you don't have that guidance, if you don't have that influence for people that have been in the field, yeah, you got people with moms and dads who are doctors and lawyers, and guess what? The kid goes and be a doctor or a lawyer or engineer because they were affiliated with somebody that taught them, hey, this is what I do. Oh, that's cool. I've never had that. Never
Mm.
knew. So is it over for me? No. But I got my business degree a long time ago. I ain't gonna tell y'all when, but I got it, and I better start using it because I always said I wanted to go into business. I wanted to go and create seeds. I
Right.
just want to give back to the community, and it's a beautiful thing, folks. I got to tell you something. I'm a male. I cry too. I'll ball out when I see somebody doing it. I had this one brother that went in an interview for to be a cop, and he was the only one that showed up there with his shoes slicks and his
Ooh,
suit. Everybody else had sweats on, and I'm
sweat.
sitting there like, "Oh my gosh, you didn't know?" He was like, "Nah, they told me one thing led to another." They were doing their training in their sweats. They had to do their times and all that. So my brother was out there running in his shoes.
I love it.
I'm
I
sitting
love
there
it.
bawling like, "Yo, are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah,
Dedicated.
man." Now he didn't make the cut in terms of the time, but don't think that the people there that was looking wasn't impressed based on look. I'm going look. I came here in a suit. I'm running with these guys, and they got their track shoes and all that. I was
Mm.
impressed. I would have been like,
They
"Look,
probably
you
did better than they did in
right."
this suit.
Sliding and all. He did what he had to do. He impressed the people. And guess what? He got himself in because in the next block
Wow.
they all knew who he was, and it was like a shoe in. Then he was automatically in.
Look at that. Look at
But
that.
they just knew. They just it's a beautiful
Well,
thing. Hmm.
Trafania said, I went through the same thing. Had I known what an astronomer skills really were, that's the route I would have taken. And that's why it's important, and I know it's too late for some because they're older, but that's why it's important to have your children understand what it is that they want to do when they get older, because you could get them into some type of training, some type of internship, some type of volunteer status where they can
Hmm.
see. okay, I want to be an engineer, but I'm not quite sure what they do. So let me see what a day in the life of an engineer or a veterinarian or a butcher or a gas attendant or a doctor or astrologist, whatever. And then that way they can make a really guided choice as to what it is that they want to do. Had I known what it took to be a dentist, I would have been a dentist or a lawyer. Right.
Mhm.
My choice when I went to college was journalism, mass communications, and I switched my major. But that was because I did not know.
Mhm.
You know, now that I'm older, you can't reverse time. However, you can teach the people now. So, how can we find you? What are some ways that we can find Revolve? How can we support you? And how do we send people to you for training, resume writing, soft skills, and coaching? How do we find you and how can we help and support you?
Okay, well, thank you for the plug, LaShawn.
Absolutely.
You guys can start off with looking at our website. Um, I think it's pretty complete, but we're going to refurbish it with a lot more information. I think we're becoming a more complete company. Remember, well, Revolve was originally focused on males,
I remember
reentry
that.
males.
Mhm.
Now we're expanding the gap because we've developed this partnership, and we're not trying to hold anybody else back. I did have some ladies come and say, "Well, what about the women?" I'm like, "There's plenty of
Mm,
stuff out there for the women. We're not trying to. We just don't see enough for the men." And it's kind
mhm.
of hard for everybody, you know. So we just want to be a resource. So the website www.therevolvepage.com, and revolve is a concept of just revolution or revolving around a particular person, and that's what I feel in terms of our training we'll do. We're not just going to throw you into the mix. We're going to try and make you into a well balanced person, and that takes time. And ultimately, I would like to create some type of alumni with the brothers and sisters that we're able to gather together in order to come back and uh, pay it forward, make the transition, be successful, and then come back because it's possible. We just need more in the bunch. And I'm finding it's so funny. I'm finding so many more resources out there based on speaking it into existence.
Look at
Um,
that.
so, yeah, www.therevolvepage.com is our website. And I mean, just take a gander at that, and you're able to leave messages if you like. There's even a video of myself. I don't have a video here of me right now because I'm not. I got headphones on. I'm looking like a b-boy.
I can't. I can't. Guys, I tried to get him on camera. He's so defiant. But he
Ah,
had a wealth of information that
yes.
was helpful and
Oh,
that really can span across. So we thank you. We celebrate you. I appreciate the wealth of information and knowledge that you bestowed upon our listeners. Thank you everyone again who is sharing this interview. Thank you everybody who's liking and just getting involved and engaged with this interview. It really, really does me. It really does the community well, but it really helps me see what it is that's needed when we look at what the community is asking for. So thank you so much, Mr. Hargrove. I appreciate you so much. Welcome to the family. And once again, keep doing what it is that you and Mr. Hawks are doing.
not a problem. Thank you so much for inviting me. And you guys take care out there. Looking forward to catching up with you in the future.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as you heard, that was a direct interview with somebody who actually works with people that are looking at your resume. So, you heard the word CV. What is that? And that's based on your curriculum vitae. You want to make sure that it's a course of life. That's what the Latin phrase is. So, it's the same thing as a resume, but it's a written overview of your work. Okay. So, it could be plural, it could be possessive, it could be you, it can be you over some time with those who may have helped you. So, for example, if your vitae is saying that, and some people say vitae, but it's vitae. But if you say that, community cleanup, community work, COVID reach out, whatever it is that you have done, you want to make sure that it is illustrated there. So When do you use it and why do you use it is totally up to you, but it's tailored specifically for the job that you're looking for. If you are looking to be a news anchor, you are not going to put anything out there that talks about watering grass and something that's not germane to that actual job. And it should represent you as the essential person that needs to get you in there. And it normally doesn't have your personal information on it. It's just simply an overview of what you do. Now, is it good? Absolutely. Some employers are looking for that. Some employers are preferring a resume. So your resume, you want to make sure that no matter if it's a CV or if it is your resume, do not, absolutely positively, do not have multiple fonts across it. You want to have one font, right? And you don't want your name to be so ginormous that it takes up the entire page. You do want your name to stand out. You do want to bold it, but you do not want it to look like a party on your page. Remember, you're looking to get your foot in the door so that you can get the interview. Okay. If you have it where it looks like unorganized, it's not uniform, it's just disheveled and just slapped on paper, you are not going to get in the door. Okay. So a resume, you need your name, right? You need your information, how to get in contact with you. Again, avoid using email addresses like Wild Cherry 69 and Juicy Pop 6 and all that. No one cares about your personal life. No one cares if that's what whoever calls you. We don't want to see Cat Daddy 101 and Big Daddy, and no. You will be surprised at the email addresses that I'm seeing, even when I'm sitting down to help my principal interview for teachers and other staff. It makes you wonder, like, what is it that you're doing? No one needs to know you wear gray sweatpants, okay? Also, your phone number. Mr. Hargrove talked about getting 2 phone numbers. It's super easy. You could go to Google numbers and get or Google Voice and get a Google Voice number, and that will ring to your main phone. You can also go to companies like TextMe, and there are other free web-based or internet-based phone companies that will give you a free phone number. So if you know that your phone may be off from time to time, then get yourself a Google Voice where at least you could get the message. Okay. Get something like Grasshopper, where if it can't get you on one number, it'll get you on the other. But the point is, having a working phone number is key. If you do not have a working phone number, an employer is not going to go, well, this number is disconnected. Let me try the other one. They're not going to feel that you're responsible. They're not going to feel like you're reliable, and they will not call you. Your summary objective, like Mr. Hargrove said, you want to make sure that the objective speaks to you as a professional. You don't want to say, I think I want to work in education. No, you want to make sure that your goals speak to the position or positions that you're looking to achieve. And you want to make sure that it is outlined to a point where they say, oh my God, I have got to get this person in there. Okay. Use your SAT words if you need to, but know what they mean. Don't slap around 95-point Scrabble words on your resume and you don't understand what the words mean. Your professional history. We do not need to know what you did when you was in high school. That's not needed on your resume. You want to put, unless you just came out of college, that's different. But if you're a 50-year-old or a 60-year-old or a 40-year-old man or woman, we do not need to have what you did in high school. We want to make sure your professional history shows a professional history. So we want to see things that you've done. And again, if for whatever reason you are not able to secure a lot of work history for whatever reason, it's fine. But find out things that you've done that may have involved community or church or something to speak to what it is that you had to do in order to have experience. Okay. The educational history. Right. If you have a GED, do not be ashamed of that. There are a lot of people who have amazing positions with GEDs, and there are some people where the job only asks for a GED. Okay. If you know you want to elevate your experience, go ahead to enroll in a school that will give you that shot. You can also put down the school that you're currently enrolled in and your expected graduation date. Do not just slap a school up there because it's cute, because I have seen a situation, are you ready for this? Where the interviewer was literally on the board of admissions. It was like a board that they had, and they were on that board for the admissions, and they said, well, I don't remember seeing your name. And I researched it because I'm an alumna of the school, and I never seen you there. You don't want to get busted like that. Okay. Your skills, put skills that will get the job. If you crochet, that's beautiful. But if you're looking for a job like a police officer or EMT, I'm pretty sure that crocheting is the last thing that they're worrying about. But you do want to put something down that shows that you have discipline. You want to put something down that shows that you're creative, that you're masterful with what it is that you do, but you also want to show as a well-rounded person. Now, you do want to put down skills that will totally diversify who you are. Public speaking, conflict resolution. You want to be able to speak to problem solving, being a team player, okay? Being able to initiate tasks without being asked or requested. These are things that you need to show on your resume, because they want to make sure that they're not hiring somebody who's just sitting around and waiting for someone to tell them what to do. They want to see that you're a self-starter, that you pace well, time management is important, that you are astute when it comes to Microsoft Office suites, that you know how to operate office machinery. Did you know telephone voice is a skill? It is. So you want to put that down there so people can see exactly who it is that they are hiring and why. Okay. And then lastly, when you put your achievements, hobbies, and interests, do not put something up there that can be viewed as discriminatory. Do not put something up there that will identify race, gender, or preference. You want to put something down like, if you were looking for a job as a general manager, are you part of National Hotelier Society? If not, you may want to join it before you get that job. If you are part of the NAACP, that's beautiful, but that may bar you, unfortunately, from employment. ACLU, things like that. You want to make sure that the employer does not have an opportunity or chance to say, no. As horrible as it sounds, it's the truth. We want to make sure that you put things down that are national organizations that will help you get your foot in the door. Later on, if you're part of an organization, absolutely don it all over the place. But you want to get your foot in the door so that you can get this interview. Okay. Now, once upon a time, you had to put down your GPA. You don't have to do that much anymore, especially if it's under like a 3.5. If you had like a 1 point something, don't put your GPA up there. Don't put your GPA up there. But if you had any honors, or if you was part of any recognition or any kind of activities or anything like that while you were in school, you definitely want to put that on there. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that was helpful. I hope that you gained something from this. My ECDC clients and learners, I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for making sure that you are the brightest recruit in the room. Oh, and lastly, when you go to job fairs, because you will be sent to some on behalf of ECDC, when you go to job fairs, please make sure you carry at least 50 resumes. Do not just stuff them in an envelope haphazardly. You want to make sure that when you carry your resume with you, it looks good and it has a cover letter. We will get into cover letters on the next video, but let me give you a hint. The cover letter is like a book of a cover, okay? The cover of a book. When you look at a book, you're like, wow, this is like something I want to read. Let me crack it open. It's the same thing with a cover letter when you are looking for employment. Let your cover letter speak to what it is that you're applying for, why you are the best candidate for that position, and invite them to look at your resume. You'll be surprised how many people have that do not invite the employer to look at their resume. You want them to look at it, right? So when they're looking at your resume, you want them to say, wow, this is somebody that we want to invest our time and space and explain who they are, explain our company to them so that they can be part of this family. All right. Another thing is during the time of you writing your cover letter, you want to research the employer to which you're working for. You will be surprised how many people will go to an interview and not know anything about the company. What? How can you go on an interview and don't know about the company? You have to research the company. Who are they? What are their morals? What's their organizational process assets? What are they about? What's their enterprise environmental factors? What do they stand on? What do they believe in? Does it line up with your own values? All money is not good money. So you want to make sure it aligns with your values. You want to make sure that it speaks to who you are as a person, and you want to make sure you can do the job. So you may say, based on the fact that you opened to help the constituents of the east side part of Wilmington, who are deemed unemployable and those who are looking for work, that spoke to me. That's the reason why I'm so interested in this position. You want to position yourself in that company's mission and value statement. You want to position yourself in that mission and value statement to show that you are the person that can do the job for this particular company. So your cover letter should invite the employer to read your resume. Your cover letter should speak to your who, what, when, why, where, and how. Who you are, why you want this position. When you are able to be interviewed, you don't want to say as soon as possible or right now or like yesterday, at your earliest convenience. Those are words that we want to use. But most of all, ladies and gentlemen, you want your cover letter is up exactly. You want your cover letter to gleam. They wanted to gleam. And you're right. Most employers won't even accept it anymore. They're like, I don't want to read this. Who are you? Right? So you don't want to write a dissertation, but you just want to write just enough for the person to know, like, this is a shining star, and this is someone who I want to open this up and read about them and invite them for an interview, and then subsequently give them a job. And last, but certainly not least, once you had the interview, you want to send a thank you letter out that says, thank you for reviewing my resume and cover letter. Thank you for inviting me to the interview, Mr. or Mrs. Interview person. And I appreciate you for the time and consideration that you bestowed upon me as it relates to me in the program manager position. You also want to give a shout out to the receptionist or the administrative assistant. I want to give a shout out to Jenny Baker for she was so warm and inviting when I came in for the interview. She showed me around. She greeted me with a smile, and that right there told me that this was a place for me. You want them to know that you are paying attention, right? Attention to detail, which is a skill. So you want to have it where you are showing gratitude for the interview. You're showing gratitude for the invitation, but you also want to give a shout out to the person who took your name and said, I'll be right back. Mr. So-and-so will be with you. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much. And make sure you leave a comment so we know that you watched this over at ECDC. And until then, have a wonderful, wonderful, and again, happy Wednesday inauguration day. Take care for now. Bye-bye.